Who do you think that the Democrats in the Senate, your colleagues in the Senate, should really fight on?
I definitely think Tulsi.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't overlap with her, but former Democratic member of the House.
Yeah, no, but she is a clear danger. I think when we're talking about whether or not we are going to be more vulnerable or less, when it comes to like our international security, I definitely think we've got to have really, really qualified people. I think some of these other positions, you know what, the agency can kind of run on its own. And even if it's somebody who's learning on the job, that's okay. But when you're starting to talk about our national security, something that we should all be concerned about, especially when we know that Iran supposedly had a hit out on President Trump, I think that this is something that we need to make sure that we focus on.
Do you know something about her? Do you have some inside information about her that you want to share?
That's been reported. But
DNI, Department of National Intelligence. This is not a place for a Russian, Iranian, Syrian, Chinese sympathizer. DNI has to analyze real threats. Are we comfortable with someone like that at the top of our national intelligence agencies?
Former Trump UN ambassador and presidential candidate Nikki Haley blasting Tulsi Gabbard, Trump's nominee for Director of National Intelligence. We are back with the roundtable. So, Donna, you heard what the Congresswoman said before the break. How hard are Democrats going to fight Tulsi Gabbard?
I don't know. She deserved to have a hearing. She deserved to be vetted. She deserved to have the most strenuous background check. If the TSA rumors are true that they looked at a suspicious pattern of travel, that will come up in the vetting process. Look, I served inside the DNC with Tulsi Gabbard. I know
she was what? She was a co-chair?
She was a vice chair.
Vice chair.
We were both vice chairs.
Your colleagues. You were side by side.
She's a lieutenant colonel. I respect Tulsi Gabbard. I may disagree. I disagree with her choices. I disagree with everything in terms of where she's at now, but she deserved to have a very thorough background check.
I mean, she could get a Democratic vote or two, no? I mean, like Bernie Sanders.
She represented Hawaii. I don't know if she'll get the support of Democrats, but she should have a thorough background check, like everybody else.
But Rich, what about the way she's hammered Trump? I mean, not that long ago.
The intense debate surrounding Tulsi Gabbard's bid to become Director of National Intelligence has brought to light deep party disagreements over leadership in national security. Representative Jasmine Crockett, who describes Gabbard as a potential threat due to her purported foreign connections and lack of qualifications for such an important position, voices strong opposition. The nomination is also criticized by Nikki Haley, who points to Gabbard's alleged connections to adversarial nations like Russia and Iran. Despite these issues, some argue that Gabbard's military past and prior government posts need a comprehensive background inquiry rather than a dismissal outright. The situation illustrates the tension between political loyalty, national security standards, and the more general challenge of evaluating controversial nominees in an increasingly polarized political environment.
I mean, look. I mean, Marco Rubio did too.
No. That was long ago. This was while Trump was president. The Soleimani assassination, which Trump thinks is one of his big national security accomplishments, and a lot of people agree. You know, she said it was unconstitutional and an act of war.
Okay, fine. That's what she said. But today she's saying something different, and she's resolved those differences. She's resolved those differences. Well, we're going to find out. Yeah. But one thing I would highly would suspect is that you wouldn't rise to a rank of an 05 lieutenant colonel if our intelligence agencies thought that somehow she was some kind of Russian asset. Which, if people are going to level those charges, they better be darn sure that they're accurate. And is a very dangerous thing to do.
Say that. She said that it was sympathizing.
But it's all insinuated, okay? It's this cutesy, hyperbolic nonsense coming out of the media and the Democrats who refuse to accept the fact that almost a majority of Americans have accepted Donald Trump and Trumpism. I think it's time to give this guy a month of peace. And let the process play out.
You're asking us to be
I don't know about giving him any peace, child. But what I will say, because you signed up to be the president of the United States, and we are definitely at a precipice in this country, and people were hurting, and they believe in him. So no, there should not be any peace over the next 4 years. He should be working every single day, not hanging out at Mar-a-Lago on playing golf. He needs to be working and fighting to deliver for the American people, to make sure that these prices come down, but also to make sure that we're safe, because there were a lot of people that were concerned because of the wars that have been taking place around the world. And he is the guy that said on day one, I will stop this war. I will stop that war. Now, I don't know what magic wand he has hanging out in his back pocket that's going to allow him to do that. But as of right now, when we look at literally the level of competence when it comes to picking people that are competent for these positions, there are a lot of questions to be had about this. So at the end of the day, yes, we will respect what the voters decided, and the voters did vote him in. We will not sit there and we won't try to...
Hang on, I got to respond to this.
Go ahead, Chris.
First off is, you can't have it both ways, okay? You can't criticize Trump and say all I have is people who are blindly loyal to him. And then when you actually appoint somebody who has been critical of him, then say, well, that's bad too. You can't have it both. Like, he's appointed someone like Tulsi Gabbard and like Marco Rubio.
I mean, as I said, it's the most ideologically diverse cabinet we've seen in a long time.
Who have been very critical of him. You have to give him credit for that. He's willing to look past that. That's a good thing. Second, Democrats need to pick, I think, one.
The complexities of public opinion, political loyalty, and leadership standards are brought to light by the debate around Tulsi Gabbard's potential contribution to national security. Representative Crockett criticized Gabbard for having contradictory views on national security, raising questions about her reliability and the validity of the accusations against her. Crockett argued that President Biden should put active, national issues ahead of political considerations and highlighted the need for responsibility and action above appearances. Trump's appointment of individuals who have openly opposed him, like Gabbard, and his demands for loyalty were also condemned by his detractors, underscoring the tension between ideological purity and political diversity. This dynamic reflects the broader struggle to balance integrity, competence, and inclusion in high-stakes government appointments.
We've got three people, I think, that are questionable nominees. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Pete Hegseth. You got to pick one. Because if you go after all three of them, you're going to probably go 0 for 3.
Right.
Pick one that you think has the most problems, that are verifiable, and then do that. And lastly, I'd say as to what Ryan said about giving him some peace. I have no problem with that, but you got to give peace to get it. And I think what the president needs to show is to show that he's not going to be on the attack constantly against everybody, that he should bring some Democrats in, start to talk to them about the things where they agree, because there are places where they agree. Look, he and Bernie Sanders agree on a lot of things. So I'm all for having some peace, because I think we're all tired of all the other stuff.
Amen.
But you got to give peace to get it. And
let's talk about the hyperbolic nonsense.
We only have a couple minutes left. I want to ask about one other pick that is also very interesting for the reasons you just decided. This is his pick to be the Secretary of Labor. Lori Chavez-DeRemer, outgoing member of Congress in the House, Republican. And this is what the Wall Street Journal had to say about her. Trump's labor choice, unions over workers. And they write, some Republicans think enhancing union power will help Republicans win more elections. Then why did Ms. Chavez-DeRemer lose her reelection? The reality is the pro-labor agenda espoused by union honchos isn't all that popular with working class voters. Putting Ms. Chavez-DeRemer in charge of labor will make labor bosses, not workers, more powerful. Again, I read that because that is a conservative editorial board that is hotly contesting one of Trump's major cabinet picks. You are side by side on the same committee.
Yeah, I will say that she's one of the few Republicans that actually signed the PRO Act. And so this is somebody that the Republican or that the Teamsters for sure wanted to make sure that they elevated. But she is a Republican through and through. I think when it comes down to it, we did see labor support fall off. We saw where there were various labors that had supported President Joe Biden that refused to support the vice president in her candidacy. And so there is something to be said about whatever conversations are taking place and where the unions are placing their support. And she may actually be that bridge to actually earn them more support. Now, the fact that she lost her election, she went up against somebody who has beat her every single time that she's run for office.
But I mean, there are going to be some Democrats that are going to vote for her, probably a lot.
Agree.
And you may see some Republicans vote against her. What was behind
I think what's behind the pick is that this is the one thing that organized labor asked the Trump to give to them.
The Teamsters specifically.
In particular, rank and file, working class people voted for Trump. He understands that. Now, the other thing is that the Trump folks in Mar-a-Lago realize that if the Republican Party becomes the party of the working people, they're not going to lose an election. And to the people who are concerned out there, Republicans, about this pick, you still have Aura who regulates, oversees all the regulations, OMB, NEC, the National Economic Council, all the committees. It's going to be very difficult for her to do the things that some of these Republicans are afraid of.
Divisive candidates like Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. present Democrats with a strategic dilemma in their political approach. They are advised to concentrate their criticism on the most challenging contender in order to maximize effectiveness and avoid political overreach. This tactic emphasizes the importance of selection and pragmatism in political resistance. Tulsi Gabbard's ability to serve as a mediator between organized labor and the Republican Party is emphasized by Representative Crockett, particularly in view of Trump's alleged preference for union leadership over ordinary workers. Democrats may find it more difficult to oppose Gabbard as a result of his support for labor concerns, revealing a dynamic climate where traditional party lines are crossed and candidates appeal to a wide range of ideas. Ultimately, the situation emphasizes how important it is for Democrats to find a balance between targeted criticism, strategic collaboration, and party unity. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. The next one is even more controversial.